Do you believe in the Bali dream?
Not really.
This is my Bali dreams. This is your Bali dreams.
What the hell is the Bali dream?
What the hell is the Bali dream?
Paradise in Bali.
Escaping to an island paradise sounds like a dream.
Resort island of Bali. Many have made the island their home after leaving their countries.
Bali is facing a new reality. It has just been ranked the second most crowded island in the world.
Sorry, they call it the modern colonization or something, right? Or no?
That kind of makes sense.
They kind of take over the place,
Kinda makes
and they
sense.
make
It's
it
so
like
touristic that
Europe.
it doesn't has any vibe of the country anymore. It's just a touristic place.
I feel like it's kind of just like people in like a higher class like taking advantage of like, I don't know, it's not like a third world country. I don't know if that's the correct terminology.
It's definitely not the same thing. Colonization is like a whole different thing, right? Like Indonesia is still its own country. Bali is its own island,
But I do understand that, it keeps some money going towards everyone. It's just the way the world goes.
If they all leave, what would happen to Bali then?
You don't live here. You're someone who lives in Europe. What do you think attracts Europeans to live here, like long term?
Mainly, I think it's because of all the possibilities that you have here. From the people I know, they manage to open and try new ideas. Some business that you cannot easily maybe start back. I speak from Europe. There's a spirit here. I understand why people would like to come and why they settle.
Bali, a word that carries the weight of paradise, a dream of freedom, of escape, of the self. Yet every dream casts a shadow. Now in the streets of Bali we turn to voices who have lived the dream. How real is the Bali dream?
As in what you see on like YouTube?
Yes.
No, I don't think. I think it's different if you live here for a long time. I really like it. Like you do get a lot of freedom. It's a lot more freedom than in other places. But I think a lot of people maybe have high expectations.
What should people expect?
It's not as cheap as people think. It can be really cheap, but like you have to eat local food and live in a more local area, not in the nice villas that you see on YouTube or like eating avocado toast every day. That becomes expensive. So it's like I still live all the ways like I lived in England. Like I cook for myself. I spend a lot of time at home. I work a lot because people think, oh wow, like you like live the dream and you never really work. But in reality, I'm working like more than I would work if I had a normal 9-to-5 job. I think that's a big thing that people have misconstrued because it's like a digital nomad haven, right? Lots of people here are digital nomads and people think that they don't work, but they do.
How would you describe your current lifestyle in Bali?
It's pretty simple. And I guess that is what makes it easy. But I wake up, I go for a coffee, I read, I chat with some friends, then I do my workout, and then I do some work. I have my online business, and I'm also working here at the gym, Threshold. Then in the afternoon, some walks, meeting more friends. So that's pretty much what I do.
Would you say every people who lives here, foreigners who live here, have the same lifestyle as you?
I think it's very similar. In general, we are all looking for the same things. As I've said before, it's having the balance between being able to work, but also to be able to work out and to spend time with friends and getting to know people from other places.
The Bali lifestyle and the Bali's life system is like you feel so free. Like freedom is working. And then no one asks you why you are here. Like no one control your life. You can design your days, your lifestyle and everything. So I know the social media, there's a lot of people interested in Bali because of the people share it's like California's, like the surf, everything is so cheap, looks like kind of. But for now, I'm living in the local village, like I'm not in the touristic area. For me, I want to live for a long time like the local style. But my village is already changed, like became touristic. I guess everywhere is the construction now, especially in front of my shop too. So maybe in the future, I'm gonna move to another country.
Do you think life in Bali lives up to the hype?
Used to. In most cases, it still does. In some cases, I am afraid it's gonna disappear really quick.
But what happened? Can you tell me what's really happening here? What's actually happening?
I might get kicked out of immigration if I tell my honest opinion.
You want to speak up about Bali, but you're scared of getting deported? Call out diplomat.
Like everyone else, it hurts me seeing what's happening. Everyone's saying it. It's not just me, but no one speaks up. I'm probably stupid enough or brave enough to speak up.
When they were cutting the trees here,
The neighborhood were crying.
On Instagram, there's a lot of hate, I would call it, towards the foreigners.
We live in a bubble and we think that Bali belongs to us.
We are cautious about not offending the local and the local structure in place or the government authorities. If you do say something bad, all of a sudden people are worried that immigration is going to kick them out, cancel their visas and all that. But as a foreigner and a local, living together, coexisting in a beautiful land, it's everyone's responsibility to preserve the authenticity of Bali. And if no one speaks up, or if no one shares an opinion or respects anyone's opinion, we won't be able to achieve this as a collective. At the end of the day, Bali will be here 10, 20, 30 years. Most of these people will move on or die or go, but what do we leave behind?
What do we leave behind? Now, before we speak of Bali's struggle, we must first face the dream itself. What exactly is the Bali dream?
It's not just about the hype, it's also about the spirituality of the island. Like they call this islands of the gods because like everyone is praying here daily. I feel like this island has some holy spirit somehow. And then it makes your dream come true faster than you imagine. This is something that we as a young generation who live in Europe, United States or Turkey couldn't find right now because of this like political issues, etc. We find here more free spaces to create our own communities or our own vibe.
Do you think the Bali dream exists?
I think you can make a different life for yourself here.
How would you describe the Bali dream?
I would define it as living on your own terms.
Can you not do that in other places in the world?
You can, but I think, for example, in England, you can live on your own terms, but it's much harder to escape the norms. Just because the norms are so ingrained in everyday life, and there's like a life set out, like you go to school, then you go to university, and then you get a job, and then you have a relationship and you get married and you have a family, and then your family do the same thing. Lots of my friends in England, they still live in the same town that they were born in, which I know is like, that's what they want to do, that's fine, but some people maybe they want to create a different life, and I think it's very hard to do that if you're still in your own community. To create a different life, I think you need to leave your community and go somewhere else. And here is a good place to start. But you can do it anywhere in the world.
It's not Bali. I don't think it's about the place. It helps, but I think it's what's inside of you. So if you have dreams, Bali has the energy and the power to make it possible. But I think it first starts with everyone's heart and soul.
It's not about Bali, but personal.
Yeah.
And Bali supports it.
Of course, it holds you. And that's something that I can really tell. Bali, no matter what you're going through, it holds you for whatever you need.
Exists, but it's personal. Like I can say yes or no. But this is my Bali dreams. This is your Bali dreams. This is because very personal.
Can you define your Bali dream?
The Bali dreams is like, I think what you need when you come to Bali. Like you must be like to feel like settled down or do some quiet meditation, sport or something. Because many options can be your dreams here. So I just say only like Bali always answer you what's your dream, what you need.
It's eroding. It's eroding, yeah. It does exist. It's eroding quickly, but depends on which perspective and which type of lifestyle one seeks to pursue. For some people, it still exists. For some people, it's like, I might have to leave because it's not what it used to be. And I'm hearing this. For me, it exists.
You've been here for 6 years. You see 5 years. A lot of people come and go. You've seen them with dreams. How do you define the Bali dream?
The Bali dream? Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of ways to define it. Bali dream is being connected to nature, the locals, and the Bali dream's about smiles, bro. That's the true Bali dream. When you drive down the road and you see someone you don't know, but you recognize their face because they're on a bike, local or bullet, and you smile, you say hi to the rice farmer and he waves back and says hello. You sit down and have a coconut at the beach, which, we used to be able to do it under the coconut trees, but now we have atlas fins. That was the Bali dream. That is the Bali dream. People come here for that. They come here to sit underneath a coconut tree, have coconut, have amazing conversation, connection with the land and the people, amazing food, beautiful weather, and live a healthy life and a life with minimum attachments, if that makes sense. More connected. That is the real Bali dream, in my opinion. when you could get up and go to the beach and have a surf and go yoga and catch up with beautiful people and say hello. Minimum traffic, minimum concrete jungle. That's the real Bali dream. The real Bali dream is actually nature. Nature, that's all it is, but we're destroying it. And as I said, I'm not against development. It needs to be managed.
A lot of opinions are going on the internet. What's happening in Bali, gentrification, everything. 6 years, can you tell me what's happening here?
It's changed a lot since I've been here, yeah. So I came here just before COVID. I've seen a lot of change, like a lot of building cafes. Also, yeah, like on Instagram, there's a lot of hate, I would call it. Like
Towards the foreigners who live here or
towards the foreigners, yeah. Or I think both ways sometimes. And that wasn't, maybe I didn't see it when I was first here, but that wasn't really a thing. I wasn't aware of that, like when I first came, of people not behaving respectfully or different things like that. But yeah, I definitely think that's got worse, which is not a good thing, I think, because there are plenty of expats who live here very respectfully, and that there are a few obviously that are not. And then yeah, the construction has got a lot, like there's just construction everywhere, like roads that used to have no construction on now are filled with construction. So there is a lot of gentrification, and I can see why it's like happening much faster than it would happen anywhere else. You can leave here for 1 month and you can come back and there'll be like 3 new cafes all within like just one small space. It's like so fast. And businesses open and close all the time.
We love Bali for what it is, obviously. People come here for obviously the culture, nature and the beauty of it. And the beauty, as you can see, if you turn the camera around, you'll see all the nice rice fields and the nice villages and the trees and all that. A lot of people that come here as a bule escape the city life, but unfortunately it's getting turned into a city life. And I think this is on everyone's mind, but I don't think like a lot of people are scared to mention it or talk about it, so they don't want to get in trouble, which is kind of understandable. But I'm not against prosperity, but the development that's coming into Bali, which is good for the economy, but the way it's being executed, in my opinion, it's eroding the Bali dream and the Bali hype.
Like the betons, which is going behind me, like we don't want that. So like, okay, we maybe change the rice fields into living areas because this neighborhood maybe is like fitting to that kind of change, let's say. But don't do that to every neighborhood of Bali. Find a zone, say, okay, this is for the building zone. Keep the green zone as green.
It's sad because as good as it is for the short term, in my opinion, the ones that get affected the most is the locals. They used to live here, and when prices are driven up, of course they can't come back into the original village. Like some of this land has been in the family for generations and generations. I get it. They sell it, they make money, and they do their family prosper. I'm not against that. But the hype of the market and the development, unfortunately, has pushed out the locals. And I've got local friends that had to move back to their village. Some of them I don't see. Some of them come and visit Canggu or Sese or Burawa, and they reminisce to the past and go, "Oh, it was so nice, I used to be here." That hurts me as an expat, as a foreigner, as a bule. That hurts me seeing my local friend going, "I used to be here, I can't come here and buy and sell and live because things are going crazy."
Now, like when I check the streets, I see that like just because of this like walkways, they destroy the streets of Bali. Like that makes me so sad. When I'm riding my motorbike, I don't feel the same vibe anymore. I'm sure that hurts the neighborhood as well. When they were cutting the trees here, the neighborhood were crying because they were their trees. Because we come here from the high vibrated city life, Istanbul, Berlin I lived in, Washington DC, London, Malta. Like we want something calmness, like trees, green, blue. That makes our life way more worth to spend our maybe next couple years or maybe for whole of our life.
Do you feel like you're really living here, like you belong in Bali? Or just, temporary, like you're passing through?
Reality of life, we're all passing through as we live wherever we are in the world. But some places make it feel like home. Bali makes it feel like home. At the same time, it feels like I am living here, but sometimes it feels like I'm just passing through because I look like a bule. There's prejudice and judgment and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm saying we need to work together and coexist to protect this island where everyone really, really connects. And that's what makes Bali great.
I wouldn't say I feel like I belong here sometimes. I don't feel like I'm a local. I still feel like I'm a foreigner I'm conscious that I'm a foreigner in this place because I still live in quite an expat area and most of my friends are expats. I do have some local friends, but the majority of my friends are also expat, which I think probably if you live in a much more local area and all of your friends are locals and you integrate yourself really into the community, then you would feel like you belong. But my community is still probably more of an expat community.
It's true that after a year I feel like home. And I feel that every time that I come back to Bali, for example, this weekend I was in Singapore and then I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to go back home, which is Bali. So that's a sign.
When Bali accepts you and you accept Bali and you feel Bali, you feel the nature, the culture, you feel the people, you feel the warmth. We need to preserve that.
How do you know you're accepted by Bali?
How do I know? Yeah. Oh, my local friends. My local friends, bro. Okay. If I could sit there and share a meal with them and high five after I catch a wave, that's it, man. I'm simple, bro. It's all right.
People have been saying that foreigners who live here tend to create their own bubbles, or, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's sad. That's why I say, like, when you start seeing the realities, like, we are Western side Bali, and that's kind of sad because we want to make it like in our world instead of being part of their culture, which I think that's beautiful. To be honest, and in a sad way, we live in a bubble and we think that Bali belongs to us when it's not that way.
I think this is a strange situation because, this in the Bali, there are many nationality people here, many culture, many religion, many colors here. So like it's very hard to live together normally, but everyone doesn't have like the social society and the groups, but because we need to network here for business, for our social life, for everything. So for sure the people create some groups, bubbles, but the bubbles is like a little bit invisible, it's not like big walls, big difference, because here is you are nothing, and because you don't know who am I don't know who you are. There is no limits. We can talk, we can meet. In our countries, people cannot talk easy like when they don't know each other. So yes, sure, there are many bubbles, there are many regions, but it's not bad things, I guess.
A lot of them do engage, but there are some that do that. But that all comes down to managing development. You know what I mean? Everyone's allowed to do their own community. I'm not against it. But there's got to be like certain rules and leniencies where, one doesn't close off completely and one doesn't open up too much. Like there's got to be some cultural balance, common laws, understanding with one another. But the thing is, if you get like really fast development, overdevelopment, you're going to get those communities. But if it's spread out and it's not overdeveloped, you get more connectivity amongst the people. So if you look at the Western societies, they develop these amazing cities, but no one's connected. But look at all what they created. Apartments, buildings, amazing lifestyle, on the TV, but no one's connected. You know what I mean? Same thing's going to happen here, brother. We need to spread out. We need to connect. We can't have overdevelopment. Like, we need to protect the island.
I can see that you are a respectful expat.
Thank you.
Who
I
lives
try.
Here. You're trying to learn Indonesian, etc. But do you also feel responsible for what's happening here? In a way, like, deep down?
No.
Okay.
I don't feel responsible because I haven't personally built anything.
I agree.
And I think, I try and be very respectful. I try and integrate myself as much as I can, and I understand, but I haven't built like a huge hotel, or I don't have 20 villas, and I think people immigrate everywhere.
We're just the big, small fish.
Yeah, like I understand. It's the same, I'm just small fish. It's like that I would say making I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know. But no, I don't feel responsible really.
Right.
We used to come here to sit in the little bamboo shacks and have a coconut with the locals. Like my first friends and some of my closest friends or friendships I made was in those shacks. That was the Bali dream. You know what I mean? Cruising down the roads and the shortcut where the traffic wasn't crazy, and saying hi and saying, I'll meet you here tonight. We'll go here tonight. We'll eat here tonight. We'll go yoga. That was the Bali dream.
What happened to your dream now? Your Bali dream?
I'm a simple guy, so I'm easily pleased. Oh, watch out, brother. There goes my Bali dream. No, I wish them the best. They're working hard.
Not Diplomat Channel.